Alright, ebuso mu bibia kwa bamfambra 2K ni sem blossom o YouTube so say ebuso for ya ba as usual ensem ahodo a ekoso e wo Ghana ase ni ne lebeso mahefo eni atiefo nya na ebuso me ka say no info bi aba betodwa ni nyina fa chese eye Ken Ofori Atta na no da ana chese eye OSP declare wanted a ebuso ya chese enkofo bi anasa asrafo no bi ekopiem e wo ni fi ko rura ne dem ni ade a chese eye Ken Ofori Atta so yes de be onti ase etiamra so on so betimi ateki that steps ni so bi ni honoma bekwa kwisi nechi ewura chese ni fi akwa yesa no ma na we nyina echi no ana chese OSP kam akwa yesi no NDC for ya agena boson na se no Ken Ofori Atta so wonti ase e ba be court nsem o de nsem no kwa kupiem o court ama ebisu nyina ni twia se de nsem no esi ko na finally ana chese eye NDC ni panyi ba ko a ono so e kasa de ma chese NDC amanyoko ni so ba bonti a asan so ba be fire chese Ken Ofori Atta payi se DNT ana wati wetimi de eye OSP ekupiem e wo court se o kwa kwesi no honom na ebisu nsem nyina nchiri mu ase mempesem kasa betenten krebeko nya kwa akodi mu nchiri mu da ba betina se ne di ho enkomo se de sitie meso so nya subscribe from my YouTube channel ya no subscribe na bibia so etimi kama medin edekwam gentle.
I have been following the conversation between the special prosecutor and the Honorable Ken Ofori Atta. Now, I have been asking myself, what exactly are the issues? Is it the case that the SP, so far, in seeking to investigate the matters involving Mr. Ken Ofori Atta, has violated the 1992 Constitution or the statute establishing the office?
How do you mean?
I want to know. Because you see, the 1992 Constitution is pretty clear, the responsibilities. And it says that all of us are not above the laws of this country. And that, in fact, if you look at Article 19 particularly, on fair trial rules, and from Article 14 there and there, you notice that there's a responsibility cast on the SP at the barest minimum to be fair to everybody. Now, as we speak, has the special prosecutor done anything that it has not done to any other person before, so that in the scale of, in terms of comparative analysis, you can say that the SP has not treated Mr. Ken Ofori Atta fairly compared to how he treated Kojo Mensah in the past or now. It is only on that basis that we can come to the conclusion that the conduct of the SP so far is not, within the parameters of the law.
Why is this analysis necessary?
The analysis is necessary because, you see, I have acted as counsel for persons who were under investigation by the special prosecutor and were not treated differently. Look, and I say this, I was counsel for one of the persons involved in the Airbus matter. Carefully, if you watch, it was Nanado Dankwa Akuffo himself who petitioned the special prosecutor then, Mr. Martin Amidu, to investigate anybody implicated in the Airbus matter. And I recall vividly, the SP then, Mr. Martin Amidu, declared them wanted, not only wanted, and this is where I want to bring in. Mr. Ken Ofori Atta is even lucky.
Oh, lucky how?
Yes.
Because?
In the specific case of the Airbus, promptly, the Interpol office in Accra immediately put them on red alert. Promptly on red alert. Which meant that if they had moved from where they were going to be arrested because they were on Interpol red alert. At that time, Mr. Ken Ofori Atta and Nanado Dankwa Akuffo felt that it was the proper thing to do. Possibly because they felt that it was John Mohammed's relatives or associates. And so it was fair to declare them wanted and to put them on Interpol red alert. In fact, I recall vividly having to go to, upon the instruction of my client, I went to, because the so-called warrant they claimed they had came from a circuit court judge. So I said, look, let me go and do my search. I did my search, went to the Circuit Court Registrar. With my search questions, was an application moved either ex parte or on notice for the issuance of the warrant of arrest? Whether or not the application was duly served on any of these individuals. Series of questions. Roland, it has been almost, if I'm not mistaken, 5 years. The courts have not been able to answer the search. Look, I went to the point of going for the proceedings of, I think, May 2019 or 2020 of the Circuit Court, just to find out whether an application, they went, did everything, no record, but there was a warrant. I mean, so I am asking myself a simple question this morning, that even in your case, the SP has been engaging your lawyers. It is because your lawyers have not been able to produce you. That is why he went to the extent of declaring you wanted. And in his press statement, he made those details clear. So what exactly is the problem? I am not saying somebody said, oh, I was involved. I remember the searches I conducted at the registry of the Circuit Court. It was almost embarrassing. For almost 5 years, they were never able to respond to the search questions. But what has happened? The SP has simply said, I am conducting an investigation involving the tax refund account and payments coming out of it. 2, payments and authorizations relative to the National Cathedral. 3, SML. Because in the SML agreement, GRA and Finance Ministry co-signed the agreement. And so he wants clarification. What was the basis? Were they the necessary procurement and others? How did you go about it? Incidentally, if you listen to the Finance Minister, he gave an indication that the tax refund account, that was where they were paying SML. That was where they were paying KDGVG, among others. So he wants to have an appreciation with you.
So there's a justification for these investigations? Not the refrain on social media and also coming from the MPP side of the political divide. This is witch hunting.
I represented, listen carefully, I represented a client who had to go to Nsawan prison for 4 years. You know his crime? For breaching the Procurement Act. If the payments in respect of the cathedral, public funds, did not comply with the dictates of the Public Procurement Act, you think Ken should not answer questions? Look, the Public Financial Management Act is a Ministry of Finance-sponsored legislation. So if there is evidence or whatsoever that those provisions and the Procurement Acts were expressly violated, and this client I talk about, he was prosecuted by Nanado Dankwa Akuffo, and he went to Nsawam. So if tomorrow it turns out that in Ofori Atta dealing with public resources, ABCD legislations were violated, I mean, the law of this country should take its course. What I am interested in, and I've always insisted, is the point where the Ghanaian or the individual is given the opportunity to go through due process. So far, has the special prosecutor violated any due process requirement? No. 2, is it within the remit of the special prosecutor to declare a person wanted? Yes. It has been suggested that the SP requires a court order to declare a person wanted. Question, was that done or not? If all these requirements were fulfilled, what exactly is the brouhaha about? What are the issues? So, in whatever conversation that we're having today, what we should be asking is, has the special prosecutor done anything unwarranted by law? First of all, the SP is a creature of statute. Has he violated the statute establishing him? If he has not, what is that? Now the question, again, which we should all be asking, whether the courts can, as it were, injunct law enforcement agencies from investigating a criminal matter. The mere fact that you are investigating a criminal matter does not itself mean that the person is guilty. And so far, I've not heard Mr. Kissie Jabin pronounce Mr. Ofori Atta guilty. So the people who for 5 years were under Interpol red alerts in respect of Airbus, persons who have been declared by the UK SFO not to have conducted any crime, for which reason the SFO never prosecuted them. But for 5 solid years, these individuals were on Interpol red alert. You, as we speak, the SP has not gone to that stage. The SP has not asked the Interpol office in Accra to put you on the red alert, for which reason you can't even enter into an airport. That has not been done. So, in fairness to the special prosecutor, has he handled Mr. Ken Ofori Atta differently than he had handled other people in the past? No. In fact, those people still feel that they have not been treated by the special prosecutor then. That's Mr. Martin Amidu. Whether they have a basis or not, that's a discussion for another month. But I'm saying that even in that case, they went to the extent of having been to be placed under Interpol red alert. As we speak, Mr. Kissie Jabin has not done that. And in fact, this morning, I just read a statement like you just read on the...
Is it from the OSP?
Yes, where the SP is saying that, listen, upon interaction with your lawyers, I decided to what? Take you off the fugitive list. I mean, that's extraordinary. And he says that he did that basically or maybe on the altar of magnanimity, fellow feeling. Then you go and say, no, I disagree. What exactly are some people trying, with the greatest respect, to use engineering, maybe legal, to frustrate this investigation?
Okay.
If that is the case, let us all be clear. But so far, my learned senior here, he's a lawyer. Maybe the SP had based on law that I'm not saying. Maybe his intervention will show. But as it stands now, if I do the comparison, where others were placed on Interpol red alert based on a petition filed by Mr. Akuffo himself to the then special prosecutor Martin Amidu, and what is happening today, this is even a fairer engagement, where lawyers have been engaged prior to this intervention.
I see, but you know, when you go to Interpol and its site, it gives notice to the public in general as to why red alert are issued, and the countries who then give notice to Interpol for them to issue those red alerts. And gladly, just by way of education, we'll go to their site and also you get to see that they also do indicate that they have no right to be issuing red alerts unless the country that is undertaking the so-called investigation of an act on omission would give them those notice. And they say a red notice is an international alert for a person who is wanted, but necessarily is not an arrest warrant. They also do indicate that why red notices are being issued for individuals, because they are used to alert police in all member countries about internationally wanted fugitives. And the special prosecutor, coterminous with what the actions and the objectives and the functions of Interpol are, says in its latest statements, and as also you'll find on the website of Interpol, that the red alert will be issued based on the firm conviction that the so-called that the special prosecutor believes that it has, that it still will insist that the red alert will be issued if the former finance minister Ken Ofori Atta fails to show up on June 2. Now,
And you see, before you bring in, you see, if you recall, in the 70s, there was a High Court judge, my Lord Justice Roger Kosa. National Security Operative then used to follow Kojo Chikata with all kinds of excuses. So he went to court to seek perpetual injunction to restrain the National Security Operatives from following him. The judge says no. He cannot perpetually injunct law enforcement officers from doing what is lawfully permitted, from, carrying out their duties. So, as we speak, at least let us be clear in our minds. What exactly are we saying? That Ken cannot be investigated? Is that what we are saying? Or is the declaration of him wanted? What exactly is the issue?
So Mike, you measure public opinion, whether it's just a casual observation you do, whether on social media, etc., or in daily conversations. You'll find that if it's the responses of Mr. Ofori Atta regarding his own actions in the transactions for the National Cathedral, SML, etc., it looks like the public opinion also doesn't seem to support his own side, so to speak, but rather seem to be going for the OSP.
No, you see, the public is really tired, possibly of all of us.
You mean there's a certain fatigue?
Yes.
They want quick action.
Not quick action in terms of prosecution. They just have this fatigue about how the Republic had been run for the past 32 years. And so sometimes their patience become an issue you really need to manage. You understand? Now, you see, and I've always, again, given an indication. The accounts put it better. They say, Abaye the ball, Techino. It's me the ball, bar. And one the ball bar.
Until, when just you
can't say, Abaye the ball, Techino, the ball bar.
Okay. So what I'm simply saying is, you see, when Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo set up the Special Prosecutor's Office, he had, for me at that time, the impression was that, he is to fight corruption. The person investigating Ken Ofori Atta is not an appointee of John Mahama. Is he?
But lawyer.
No, I'm just saying.
No, he isn't.
Was he appointed by John Mahama? No.
What's the point with this?
The point I'm making is that when Nanado set up this office and brought Martin Amidu, the impression was that, it is an NDC person who is the special prosecutor, a leading member of the NDC for that matter, a distinguished person. So we should keep quiet and allow due process to go through. I remember vividly, I was in a meeting where there was a conversation about a suit to challenge the constitutionality of the office itself. At the point, the consensus was that nobody will go to court. Because the whole idea of going to court, it will feed into a certain public conversation that, it is because you are afraid. That is why you want to go to court. So we allow the process to go through for 8 years.
Even to the point that the former president, now the current president, then former, was even investigated by.
Absolutely. Okay. And like I'm saying, in the specific case of, like you referenced, statements were taken from him. You see, there's something...
From President John Mahama?
Yes. There's something unique about him. He stayed in this country throughout the 8 years rule of Nanado. President Mahama never. Maximum, he traveled for a conference, he's back. He goes somewhere, he comes back.
What's the point with this?
The point I'm making is that whatever it is, where